Okay, let's say the 49ers get one impact player from this draft. Not players that can be, players that can start, but we're talking like bona fide superstar. They get an all-pro caliber player in this year's draft, a guy that you're just looking at going, man, absolute steal or absolute hit in whatever round. If they were to get that guy, what position would you prefer that player to be at? It's tough, man, because they've got some spots where they could really use it. They could really use it.
I'm gonna go receiver.
Okay. Wow.
And the reason why I'm going receiver, so I'm thinking receiver by the time a rookie from this draft class is getting paid and let's say he's a top level, he's going to be 30 million a year, right?
Mm.
I think both of us agree Debo's gone next season. We both believe Ayuk's going to get paid.
True.
To me, for this team, for a guy like Purdy to still be successful, he's going to need weapons on the outside that could catch the ball. So to me, to have a bona fide impact weapon on offense to replace Debo is extremely important for this offense to continue to be successful. And I'm thinking a guy that's a $30 million player that you're paying, a couple million a year. To me, that's where I want to see that kind of impact player to continue the success that the 49ers have. So for me, wide receiver.
Man, I did not expect you to go wide receiver, but I like your line of thinking. That's fair. That's fair. Okay. Okay. Gosh, it's really hard not to say offensive line. It really is. But it's not sexy. That's not a sexy thing to say.
And what's an impact player on offensive line? Like,
I mean, Tristan Wirfs. If you get a Tristan Wirfs, that's pretty impact, right?
That is, but I don't know if
Nay
that.
Sewell.
Let's say they have the best offensive line, but they don't have impact players on defense, and they don't have impact players at the skill position. Does that take you to the Super Bowl? I don't know. I know we've been getting to the Super Bowl without a high level impact offensive line. I don't know. I haven't seen us get to the Super Bowl without impact on defense, impact players on defense, and impact players at the skill positions on offense.
Well, I mean, I think if Brock Purdy is who people think he is and he's protected and has some time, that might be the way to go. I'm not going to go all line because it's not, like I said, it's not sexy. It's probably the right answer. I mean, I think it's probably the right answer, but I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to go there. I'm going to go corner. I'm going to go corner because the 49ers they've done a pretty good job the last couple of years kind of rebuilding this cornerback room. But as great as they have done, I don't know. I still don't know. And these guys are rare. I don't believe that they have a true lockdown corner. I believe Charvarius Ward's the number one corner because he's certainly top 32 in the league. He's probably closer to top 10-ish. But much like I look at quarterbacks where I say, hey, the top 6 or 7 or so are elite. Then you get some good players towards the back end of the top 10, but they're not the elite of the elite. I look at Charvarius Ward as that back end of the top 10 where he's a good player. He's not lockdown elite, though. He's not one of those guys. So if I could get a lockdown corner, not only because I would love to have one, it's been forever since the 49ers have had one, but it makes the defensive line's job a lot easier. And looking at the future, no matter how you slice it, whether you think at this point, whether you think Isaac Yiadom or Ambry Thomas are going to be starting outside, no matter what, both those guys are free agents. So that means one starting corner, presumably, going to be a free agent next year. Charvarius Ward is set to be a free agent. Deommodore Lenoir set to be a free agent. So all three of your starting corners potentially could be unrestricted free agents going into next offseason. Sure would make your job a hell of a lot easier if you drafted one that hit and was an impact player right away so that you could say, hey, I'm not going to get all three of these guys back, but I can get one of them and feel good about it. And then maybe go draft another or bring in a cheap free agent and still have a really good cornerback room. But if they don't get that guy, and chances are they're probably not going to, you go into next offseason potentially with your whole starting secondary as far as corners go being unrestricted free agents. Damn, that's scary.
Yeah. It's interesting because I think I agree. I think that obviously we want them to hit there too. But I'm looking at where we are most expensive at and where we want to get cheaper, but not drop in talent. So that's why I go wide receiver. And my second pick would be defensive line, because that's where we have the most $20+ million players that we want to get cheaper there, but not drop off talent. So to me, it would be wide receiver or defensive line would be the two right answers.
Well, and kind of to your point, I mean, you're working at it from a different angle, but like, let's say they get rid of Debo's contract and then they replace him with a young, inexpensive wide receiver. That frees up money to bring back a corner, right? Or two. So in a roundabout way, you're kind of doing the same
that money's
thing.
going to Purdy or paying, Ayuk or paying, whoever else's contract hits, whether it be Bosa's or Hargraves or whatever, So to me, but I mean, I don't think there's a wrong answer. Like corner, obviously, if you have a high impact corner, that's going to make your team better.
I think just getting a high impact player at any position is helpful.
Yeah, they need to hit everywhere, man. Like they just need to hit. Yeah. Like if they're taking, like they have 11 picks. Let's say they pick, I think it's 10 picks, right? Because they lost one.
No, they lost one next year. They had to move back in one of the rounds. Yeah.
Okay. So let's say they pick 9.
Mm-hmm.
I think 6 to 7 of those guys have to be guys that could
just
be
elite.
Starters.
Just make them elite. All of them.
I mean, elite. You would hope maybe 2 or 3, but at least 7 of them have to be starting caliber. I would say, unless some of these guys
rotational, at least on the defensive line or something. Yeah.
I mean, eventually, Kyle Shanahan is going to need to start playing starters, start playing rookies as starters, because ultimately they have to be better than the guys in free agency that you're bringing, because you're not bringing in expensive free agents anymore because you don't have that money. So that's what I'm saying, where this philosophy has to start changing, and this is the year that it has to start changing, where you have to start picking guys that are going to be starters on your team.
Impacts. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, most certainly. I understand what you're saying. This is a really good question by Marco. He says, Charvarius Ward or Demo, who are you choosing? So they're both unrestricted free agents. Who would you decide to bring back if you were choosing one?
I think this is easy. Deommodore Lenoir.
Thank you. I agree.
Younger,
it is easy.
More versatile. Like having a guy who could play outside and inside. He's younger. He's healthier. I mean, Charvarius Ward is, I think, player to player in 1 year. I think like you take Charvarius Ward, but the length of the contract, definitely Deommodore Lenoir. He gives you more flexibility, and he's not that much of a drop off right now, and I think he's just going to get better.